A lot of people were scared to do real estate in 2023. Interest rates were super high, people were scared to move, rentals weren't even bringing in the income to cover their mortgage payments. But what if I told you that there is a strategy that I actually know a lot about that you can focus on in 2024 that's gonna make you a lot of cash? It's a process called wholesaling. I happen to be one of the best in the country at it, and I have some information down in the description down below if you want some more details. But in this training, I wanna teach you exactly why wholesaling is one of the best strategies to focus on in 2024. Let me give you 3 reasons why you want to wholesale in 2024, and it's going to be one of the best strategies. First off, the Fed just announced that they're actually going to be decreasing interest rates. When you have decreased interest rates, that means that more people can afford to buy a house, and therefore demand is going to go up, which means house prices are going to go up. At the same time, according to the National Association of Realtors, home prices in 2024 were already going to increase by 2.6%. I think it's going to be much more than that with the combination of those 2 pieces of news. And reason number 2 is last year wasn't great for wholesalers. Certain investing strategies work at certain points in time. The market's always changing. So last year, we actually saw a cleaning out of wholesalers. Anybody out of the business, which means there's a lot less competition, which is the perfect time for you to start. And reason number 3 is wholesaling's the best strategy out there to get started with little to no money into the deal. You don't have to go buy an expensive house and renovate the house and put a tenant in the house or try to flip the house. None of that stuff. With wholesaling, you're in and out in a very short amount of time and you can get paid quickly. How stupid is it that a person actually thinks that you got to have a ridiculous amount of money to get into real estate and great credit and all these connections and a license and just to be able to go out there and make some money? With wholesaling, you can get in and out quickly, get paid, and have little to no risk. And you never even own the property. Now, even as a beginner, if you've never even done a deal, the average deal profit is $10,000. So if you did just one deal every single month, just one, I'm doing multiple deals every month. If you just did one deal every single month and you made an average of $10,000, that's $120,000 per year. That's more than double what the average American typically makes. And here's what you should think about. Wholesalers look for great opportunities, and we find them in one of 2 places. Place number 1 is we find a seller that's very motivated to sell. That's because something tough happened to them financially. They went through a divorce, a job loss, they're getting relocated. Maybe they're inheriting an unwanted property. Something is going on with them financially, and they're in a spot where they're becoming motivated to sell. And or the property itself is old, ugly, beat up, dilapidated. And these types of situations are everywhere right now. The economy's been pretty rocky and a lot of things have pulled back. So people are very motivated right now to sell. It's a lot easier to find sellers now that we're in this new year than it ever has been before. Anybody who wants to be a real estate wholesaler can become successful in this business, but you do need a plan. You do need a system to get plugged into, and you do need to build your network so that way you can guarantee deal success. The first step to becoming a successful wholesaler in 2024 is obviously you got to educate yourself. I would go find a mentor, find a coach, go get proximity to people that are already doing what you're trying to do. You shouldn't be out there winging it. This isn't a game where you're just kind of blindly throwing darts at a dartboard as you're blindfolded. If you want to be successful in 2024, get proximity to those people that are a little further along than you. And if you don't know where to do that, I would attend seminars. I would start going out and doing networking events. So that way you can get around like-minded individuals that are already doing what you're doing, but maybe a little further along, and maybe you can convince them to mentor you. That's exactly what I did in 2003. When I discovered wholesaling, I was winging it for 9 months and I failed miserably. That's until I went to a live event. I met my first mentor. His name was Lyle Wall, and he changed my life. Within 2 months of meeting Lyle, he taught me things you cannot learn in books. He helped me stay focused. He told me step by step, do this, do this, do this, get a check. And I did exactly what he told me to do. And within 2 months of meeting Lyle, I had my first $40,000 payday, and it changed my life. And I went into real estate full time after that. So get proximity to power players. It'll change your life. I would also consider increasing your skills and capabilities by paying for a course. I love YouTube and I think it's great, but the reality is if you want a systematic approach, try to find a really good teacher that has a great course. Invest in that course and go through it. And it will help you learn what is a deal and what is a dud, how to find good deals, how to fill out the paperwork so you're not scared to learn how to fill out the paperwork, how to control these deals, where to flip them so you can get paid. The roadmap is out there. All you got to do is find a good one and get plugged into it. And one of the most important things that you're going to want to have as a real estate wholesaler in 2024 is a diverse buyers list, cash buyers list, because on the back end of your deals, you want to have landlords and rehabbers that have more money than time that are looking for good deals. You want those people on your buyers list so that way when you find a good deal, you can quickly flip it to them and get paid. Now, how do you create a diverse buyers list? It's actually really simple because the buyers are out there. The people that are actively closing deals, the landlords and the rehabbers, they're paying cash for these properties and they're closing them consistently. They're out there. You just got to go do one of two things. You got to either network with them or you got to market to them. So what I would do is step number one, I would go down to my local title company and I would ask the title rep, who's closing for cash? What investors are you working with? And can you introduce me to some of these people? I go down to the local foreclosure auction. I try to network with any buyers down there at the foreclosure auction because everybody at the foreclosure auction pays cash. And that they're active if they're actually hanging out down at the courthouse steps. I would also go into Facebook groups. I would maybe go onto Facebook and look for like Arizona wholesale properties. And I would try to find these Facebook groups of active real estate investors and I'd start building relationships with them and trying to pull them off of social media into my buyers list. I would also go down to those real estate seminars I was telling you about because who's at the real estate seminars? Real estate investors. And I would go talk to everybody and try to find out who are the rehabbers and who are the landlords and what their needs are right now. What types of properties are they looking for? And I would build a buyer's box around every single cash buyer that I got a hold of. A buyer's box is simply, what are you looking for? How fast are you looking to buy? Do you need financing or are you ready to pay cash for it? So I wanted to buy a 1980 or newer, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in these 5 zip codes. Great, I now know exactly what you're looking for. Next question, are you ready to pay cash for it right now? How fast, if I brought you a good deal on a silver platter, how fast would you close? If they said, I'd close tomorrow if you brought me a killer deal on a silver platter. I know that cash buyer is hot and heavy and ready to go. I'm gonna move them up the food chain of my buyers list, and as soon as I get a good deal under contract, I'm gonna text or call them. Okay, we talked about finding the cash buyers, but let's take a small step back real quick and talk about where do we find good deals? Not everybody's gonna be motivated to sell. We need to find those distressed properties and those motivated sellers. And there's a couple great places that you can go to find discounted properties. The first place is just through networking with local real estate agents. 63% of realtors use social media to market their property listings. I would be joining those Facebook groups. I would be following their Instagram pages. And I would try to go get the phone number of every local real estate agent in town that's super active, and I'd start building a relationship with those agents. And I'd be asking them, will you bring me deals that are distressed? Or are you open to bringing me distressed properties? If I was able to pay cash and close quickly and get you your commission, could you bring me some good deals? Pre-listings, pocket listings, distressed listings, anybody who is about to cancel their listing on you. And maybe the listing's about to expire and you haven't been able to get it sold yet. What if I was able to come to the table with a cash offer that you can serve up to the seller and maybe we could put a deal together? And believe it or not, there's still a lot of great deals on the MLS. If you were already networking with those real estate agents, tell them, set me up in your MLS database and have it trigger every single expired listing in these particular zip codes. As soon as it expires, I want to talk to them because my assumption is that seller would be now more motivated because they weren't able to sell it traditionally. And let's not forget about old school marketing like bandit signs. Bandit signs are those little plastic corrugated roadside signs. They're like yard sale signs. You see them when you're driving down the street. They say cash for houses. Put those all out over your target markets and watch the leads come pouring in. Call those sellers, work out a deal to buy their property at a discount because normally if they're calling off a roadside sign, they're motivated. All right, we talked about finding the deals. And we talked about finding the buyers that want to buy your deals. But let's talk about that middle section, actually closing the deals. Now, before you can make an offer on a property, you're going to have to gather information. Some of that information is going to be gathered from the seller when you're talking to them, and some of it's going to be found from doing your online research. But the goal of all of that is to be able to figure out what the fair market value of that property would be if it was fully fixed up. In the wholesaling world, this is called ARV, or after repaired value. It's after we bought the property, all the closing costs, all the realtor fees, all the everything, plus all of the repairs. What would that property be worth? And how we do that is by running something called comps, or checking out comparable properties. And this is when we're doing our market research. Once we figure out what the ARV is, through running of the comps, now we can back our way into an offer price. So if the property's worth 150, we're not gonna wanna offer 150, otherwise we wouldn't make any money. We wanna be able to offer, say, 80 or 90,000, but we gotta justify that. So we start at the ARV of 150, and we say, okay, if a person tried to sell this or get the property into this condition, they'd have to repair the property, back out repairs. They'd have to pay realtor fees, back out realtor fees. They'd have to pay closing cost, back out closing costs. If we're involved in the transaction, there's gonna be a wholesale fee, back out wholesale fees. And so you take the ARV and you back out all these numbers, and you eventually end up at a number. And that's the number you don't wanna go higher than when you make your offer. It's called the maximum allowable offer. And as long as you start below that number and negotiate your way up to it, but don't go past it, you're gonna be able to lock up a deal that you know you're gonna make a profit on. Now it's time to draft up your real estate purchase and sale agreement, so that way you can lock up the deal and control the real estate. The wholesale purchase and sale contract is gonna contain your purchase price, your closing timeline, who's gonna pay closing costs, how much of an earnest deposit you put up to do these deals. Remember, wholesaling is all about you trying to lock up and control these deals for as little amount possible. That way you have very little risk. But you want to put up some money, because in order to make a real estate contract valid, you have to put up what's called consideration. We call this an earnest deposit. It could be $100, it could be $1,000, it could be $10,000. But typically you want to put the lowest amount down as possible to get the deal done. And you're also going to have contingency clauses and your escape clause. All of these are going to be found in the real estate purchase and sale agreement. And it's really, really important. This is a pro tip. Always have a rock solid escape clause in your contract. The escape clause I use is your inspection period clause. I have it written in my purchase and sale agreement that I have up until the day of closing to inspect the property. And for any reason under the sun, if I don't like the weather that day, I can back out of that agreement and get my earnest money back. That's really being risk-free when you're doing wholesaling. This is gonna allow you to be able to get out of any deal if you can't find a buyer. Now that we have our property under contract, we control that real estate. We haven't closed on it yet, but we control the real estate. Now it's time to flip the contract and get paid. This is called the assignment process. Whenever you have a real estate purchase and sale agreement, you can literally assign your rights to that contract onto somebody else. So I'm gonna ramp up my marketing, start talking to my cash buyers, show them the deal, say, hey, this deal's worth $150,000. I got it for $80,000. I'll assign it to you for $90,000. And when one of them raises their hand and says, I want that deal, you literally assign your rights to the contract over to them, they close on the deal, and when that happens, the original seller gets their money, the cash buyer gets their house that they're gonna turn around and renovate and flip for a profit, and you keep the spread, the difference. That $10,000 difference, that markup fee, that finder's fee, that wholesale fee gets released to you at closing. This is why I love wholesaling. It's such a great business to be in because you have very little risk. You don't need a real estate license to do this. You can get started immediately. Like, you can get paid within the next 30 days or less, but you just need a little bit of training and get out there to build the right network for yourself. I have some information down below. Click the links down in the description and take my training. The best tool I use to find discounted properties is definitely my Deal Automator software. It runs my entire wholesaling operation, and it also has artificial intelligence built into it that literally makes it so simple to click some buttons and find all the motivated sellers in any local market in the United States. That would be my first power move. If I was just starting here today, I'd get the Deal Automator. That would be the backbone of my business, and I'd go out there and do my first wholesale deal. Hopefully that helps. I'm out of here. Until next time, take care, comb your hair. Peace. We're out.